I don't know if you can tell, but my closet is so empty and like all the clothes are just on the ground over there. Problem solved, kind of. Hey guys, what is up? It's Amy. Welcome back to my channel. I do video essays on the intersection between climate change and social justice, and today's video is going to be about eco-anxiety. We're going to be talking about what eco-anxiety is, how I've experienced it, how you might experience it, and then also talk about some of the causes for eco-anxiety and then the solutions, because solutions are so important in conversations like these. Also, we hit 10,000 subscribers a couple days ago. I'm so happy to have hit this milestone, and I'm so grateful for each and every one of you who supports me in any way, either by just subscribing, liking, commenting, following my Patreon, just any kind of support that you guys give me. I'm so appreciative of. So thank you so much for getting me to 10K, and maybe I'll get my silver plaque one day, 100,000 subscribers. But either way, let's get into today's video talking about eco-anxiety. So the reason that I wanted to talk about this, so fun fact, you might not care, but this is a video that I wanted to make about like a month or two ago when I had like the most eco-anxiety, and I was so just kind of dejected thinking about the climate and just felt like everything was hopeless. Like, what is the point of everything? This is back when I hadn't started making YouTube videos again, and part of the reason I wasn't making videos was because I felt really hopeless in like making sustainability videos, because I just was like, nothing's happening. So that's why I wanted to make this video, but I did not end up filming it for whatever reason. So eco-anxiety is something that I didn't really hear much about until like this past year, and I think the first place that I heard it was from Shelby, but I honestly can't remember. It's been like over a year now that I've heard about eco-anxiety, and when I first heard about it, I was like, that makes sense. Like, it's something that I had a lot when I was in high school. When I first got into the sustainability movement, I would just feel very anxious about environmental problems, and it felt like no one was doing anything. It felt like things were just going to do and people weren't acting, and it just gave me a lot of anxiety in high school and then in college. And that's why I got into like zero waste and sustainability, because I felt like I have to do something, because this does not feel normal that we're going through this climate disaster. Almost no one is doing something. Obviously, some people are recycling, some people are making better changes, there's some companies that are being good, but it seems like for the most part everything is just against climate action, and it just did not feel good. But before I get ahead of myself, what exactly is eco-anxiety? I guess the word itself is kind of the definition. It's just this anxiousness, this nagging feeling of just like doom almost about the climate and about sustainability, where you feel like everything is just falling apart, and it's like nothing good is happening, and things are just going horribly, and there's nothing you can do about it. So there's this sense of hopelessness, this sense of like a dooming disaster, and you also feel like nothing you do is going to help. Like, that's one of the biggest parts of eco-anxiety that's the most annoying, is you know that there's certain things that you can do to be more sustainable, but it just seems hopeless is a good way of putting it. Eco-anxiety is just feeling of hopelessness over climate change and hopelessness in a climate solution, because you don't see any action, like you don't see anything going on that's going to fix it. And I feel like this hopelessness or powerlessness is the hardest thing to overcome, because that's, at least for me, that was the hardest part. This feeling of like, why have I put so much time and effort into climate action when the biggest contributors to climate change aren't doing anything? Why am I putting all this effort and trying so hard? The powerlessness was the hardest for me to overcome, because I've been making videos about sustainability and about the environment for a couple of years now, and I do feel like I have a positive impact. I do get comments from people saying like got them into sustainability, or that my videos are helpful in some way. So I do have a positive impact. But a couple months ago, when I had really bad eco-anxiety, I could not comprehend, but I just did not actually believe that I was making any positive impact on the environment. And also being a very non-perfect, is that a good, like, not being zero waste at all. I would not consider myself zero waste. You can see my, like, God, I just spilled all of these, but plastic, like, now I have like all these plantain chips all over my carpet. But I got this a couple weeks ago when I first moved to Vegas, and I just was hungry, so I went to a random convenience store and got plantain chips because they're really good. So as you can see, I'm not a perfect environmentalist. I'm not a perfect zero waster at all. I make a lot of mistakes still, and there's a lot of things, especially because I'm so poor right now, there's a lot of things that I'm not able to do that other zero waste people can do. I don't have the kind of money to I don't live the most perfect zero waste lifestyle, and when I go to Starbucks, sometimes I forget my cup and I just get the plastic cup, and I always feel bad. I always think about it. I'm just like, what kind of example am I if I'm a YouTuber who talks about sustainability and I use plastic cups from Starbucks every once in a while? It just made me feel very insecure about being a YouTuber who talks about sustainability while also doing the things that I would tell other people not to do. It just, to me, felt very hopeless, because if I, as a zero waste YouTuber, not a zero waste YouTuber, if I, as an environmental YouTuber, was doing unsustainable things, then how could I expect other people to do those sustainable things that I want to do and I advocate for? So another kind of reason that I had eco anxiety, one kind of source of it has always been my jobs that I've had, my work or school, situations where you're kind of forced to create waste. I was talking about earlier the Starbucks cup example, but there's other ways that I was creating waste that I felt guilty about, but I had to do it for my job. So for example, I worked at a grocery store doing customer service, and whenever someone returns something that's food, we just throw it away. In the garbage it goes. There's other instances where something is broken and people return it and we throw it away, stuff like that. I didn't work in the bakery and stuff, so I didn't have to see this, but if you didn't know, in bakeries or any kind of food setting, at the end of the day, they throw everything away. Or I think at my grocery store with the hot foods, we had a Chinese section, a kitchen with they made fresh food every day, but they wouldn't throw it away at the end of the day. They would put in these little, so creating more waste still, but better than just throwing it in garbage. But they would put them in Tupperware, plastic Tupperware, and then sell them as frozen food. So that was better than just throwing it out, but still creating waste. But the most obnoxious thing was the fact that we did not recycle. There was only garbage bins in the customer service area, so even if we got paper and stuff like that, receipts aren't recyclable if you didn't know. But if we would get paper for some reason, I'm trying to think of a reason why we would get paper, but I do remember throwing out a lot of paper in the garbage because that was the only option. But the job that I had that was the most really annoying is when I was working for a bank, basically just opening letters. We would basically just open letters that had been returned to this bank that I worked for. Just seeing how much paper, even if they recycled all this paper, because there were so many letters that I would do every single day, even if they recycled this paper, the paper still had to be created, and it was just a huge waste. So much paper wasted at that job, and that gave me so much anxiety, and I would just be am I actually sustainable if I'm just spending all day throwing paper in the garbage? Oh, and also, this is less about me, but something that pisses me off as a cashier is when people get a single item. Let's say they buy this mouse. They walk up to the checkout with a single item in their hand. They didn't even have a cart or anything. And then they ask me for a plastic bag. And I just look at them my dude, why do you need a bag? Your hand is carrying the item perfectly. Just carry it to your car. I don't understand. Those are just some examples of situations I've been in where I've just felt I'm part of the problem and I'm creating so much waste. If I'm a sustainability YouTuber, what's that got to say about other people? Why should they be sustainable if I'm part of the problem? Before we get into the solutions, I just wanted to ask a question. Please comment this down below, but do you think eco-anxiety is a bad thing, or do you believe that it's kind of how you use it? Because I believe in the second part, where I don't think eco-anxiety is necessarily a good or bad thing. I think it's just natural to have these feelings of hopelessness, to have these feelings of just anxiety over the trajectory of our planet, considering how bad things are right now. We should be worried and we should be nervous about what's going on, but I don't think we should feel powerless. And that's what or I literally said 2 seconds ago that the powerlessness is good. But what I meant to say is having these anxious feelings, having these feelings of like something bad is gonna happen, like I think that's normal and I think that's okay. What we shouldn't feel is powerless, and what we shouldn't feel is hopeless, because it's not hopeless. There are solutions, there are things we can do. You don't have to be perfect to be part of the solution. It's kind of like similar to how as humans we feel pain, and we may think, oh, pain is bad, but oftentimes it's actually protecting us, because if you put your hand over a hot stove and you kind of start to feel the heat, you'll pull your hand back a little bit. And if you hadn't done that, you could have burned yourself. And like if you just physically never felt pain, imagine how many dangerous situations you would be put in. Pain is a good thing. It tells us something is wrong, and it tells us we need to take action to heal. And so that's what I think eco-anxiety can be good for. It can give us this sense of urgency, this sense of we need to do something, but it doesn't need to give us a sense of hopelessness. And I think that's what, if you take anything from this video, it's that eco-anxiety is not bad, but the hopelessness that comes with it is what you should be mitigating, and you should be working towards having these really passionate, because like the other thing about eco-anxiety is that I feel like it's very passionate, and if you do have eco-anxiety, you have this like extreme care for the environment and for a better world, and I think that's so admirable and I love that. But I think we can channel it into more positive ways, which is where the solutions come in. So what are some ways we can mitigate eco-anxiety while also using it to channel into taking climate action? So the first solution is to find a community online. The reason this is such a good way to mitigate eco-anxiety is that it helps you kind of find other people who have similar values, and you can kind of take a load off and just talk about it and talk through your feelings, and it'll just make you feel better. It's kind of like therapy, except for climate people. So you can find your community here on my channel, on other channels, on Instagram pages that talk about climate change and stuff. So just find people, and it doesn't have to be online. Obviously, you can also find a community in person, volunteering for different clubs and stuff, and that's how you can be able to meet more people who love the environment and are also in it for environmental change. The anxiety is not bad as long as you channel it in a positive way. Channel it into taking action instead of laying in bed thinking about how the earth is on fire and no one is doing anything about it. The next solution that I have for eco-anxiety is, of course, ding ding ding, taking action. Like the example I gave with pain, like if you put your hand on the stove and it's hot, you can't just like sit with that. You have to put burn cream. I don't know, I'm not a doctor. You have to take action to like heal. So if you're feeling really anxious about the environment, go pick up some trash, go start a campaign, go protest, start a blog online where you can teach people about sustainability, clean your house, declutter. I don't know, there's so many things that you can do to take action when it comes to climate change. You can get more educated on the issues, and I've been holding my microphone sideways this whole time. Taking action is just a way for you to be able to kind of release the anxiety and to feel like, oh, it's okay, things are bad right now, but I am doing something about it. You can't take action for other people, and by that I mean you can't force other people to be more sustainable, and it's not your responsibility that they're being unsustainable. Take action and understand that your input is valuable, and it's going to help other people to also maybe get into sustainability as well. So the third solution I have for eco-anxiety, and this is more broad and a lot harder. It's not really a tip that you can just take, but it's a concept, it's a philosophy, if you will. Government intervention. What I mean by this is I'm a huge advocate for government regulation, the government actually doing their job and protecting the environment and the people that live on it. When it comes to eco-anxiety, I think the best way that we can mitigate it is by making sure governments are doing their job and putting up regulations so that companies can't pollute and companies can't destroy the planet. What this means for individuals is that we need to advocate for people in office who are making these sound environmental decisions. We need to vote these people into office. We need to vote out people who are taking money from oil corporations to make themselves wealthy while also destroying the planet in the process. We need to make sure that we are holding politicians accountable for saying they support the environment and then turning around and not actually supporting the environment. So getting involved in politics is a great way to release eco-anxiety, because getting laws passed that are helping the environment, it gives you relief. And I definitely recommend following Beccasphere on Instagram. She's another climate YouTuber, and she posts a lot of like news articles and like story and updates and stuff about like climate change news. And she has a series on her channel where she does like climate change updates. Definitely recommend her channel. I'm going to link it down below. These news, like these updates, are so amazing because it shows that there's progress being made, and that's how you can release your own eco-anxiety, by seeing that governments sometimes are taking action and also seeing businesses that are doing it as well. Because as much as I believe in government regulation, business innovation is also a great way to get climate action happening and climate action going on. So definitely follow her channel so you can get those kinds of updates. And I can also link other Instagram accounts that I also follow to get climate change news and stories and updates and stuff. But that's another great way to just kind of release eco-anxiety, because good news just makes you feel better. So I definitely recommend that. So overall, I think the solutions for eco-anxiety is, one, acknowledging that you do have it, and also understanding that it's not a good or a bad thing. It's about how you channel it. And so instead of feeling hopeless, take that anxiety and just channel it into anger and use that to take action and get involved politically. And that's how you can fight eco-anxiety and just feel better, because I do feel better right now. I got back into making YouTube videos. I just moved to a new state and I'm trying to get politically involved here. That's kind of a little bit about eco-anxiety, how I've had it, and some solutions. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Help me get to 100,000. That's like the next big milestone, or I guess like 50k, because that's halfway to 100k. Thank you so much for my Patreons for helping make amazing content. If you want to support me on Patreon, I post extra videos, behind the scenes content, updates on videos I'm working on. The series that I started it last week, where I talk about billionaires and like their contributions to the environment and to people. You guys really liked it, I gathered from the comments. So I'm doing another one on Elon Musk next week. So follow me on Patreon to get updates on like my research, and I'm definitely gonna be just ranting about things that won't end up in the video, might end up on Patreon instead. So follow me on there for more stuff, and also just to support my channel, because like I mentioned, I am very broke right now. I'm also going to have my Instagram and Twitter and TikTok linked in the description, so you can follow me on there. That's it for today's video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye everyone.